Namaste, everybody. Today, in the devastation, I have a very wonderful personality. All of us know about her, and we got an opportunity to speak to her in person. That's our privilege. Mananiya Nivedita Bhide, Padma Shri awardee, and she is in charge of Vivekananda Kendra Kanyakumari. Today, she's with us to speak about her personal journey as well as her contribution or her experiences about Vivekananda Kendra and in general the activities run by Vivekananda Kendra. So let us welcome her wholeheartedly, and uh, I think we will talk to her very detailed for everyone to know about Vivekananda Kendra. So formally welcome Nivedita Tai, and thank you for your time. Thank you for your time.
Okay, welcome.
Tai, how did the journey start, if I ask?
Of Vivekananda Kendra, no?
Of Vivekananda Kendra, yes, to begin with.
Actually, means we can say it started much before,
Yeah.
but it got manifested during the birth centenary of Swami Vivekananda. That is, this is the rock on which, as our tradition goes, Mother Kanyakumari had done meditation for years together. So there is her footprint also on that.
Yeah.
So when Swami Vivekananda in 1892 had gone around the country to know that in what way can I make my people aware about the inherent strength of India, as well as what role India has to play. So ultimately he reached here in Kanyakumari, and then at Kanyakumari he felt that I must meditate on this rock where Kanyakumari did tapas for Shiva. And he went and meditated there. So we can say it starts there, the journey.
Yes.
And then after that, when Swami Vivekananda's birth centenary was being celebrated, so that meditation on the rock is very important, because he writes in one of his letters that sitting on the last bit of Indian rock, I hit upon a plan. Even the people of Kanyakumari who had seen Swamiji swimming and going to the rock, they later started a library in the name of Swami Vivekananda in the same Dharmashala where he had stayed. So for many years that Dharmashala was there. Then people used to write that we should have something there on that rock, where Swamiji took the momentous decision of going to America and participate in Parliament of Religions to represent Hindu Dharma. So that is how, when his birth centenary was being celebrated, the people of Kanyakumari felt that this rock has got a special place in Swamiji's life. So we must have his statue erected here. So when they went for the permission, there was a lot of opposition, and as the opposition increased due to various reasons, as the opposition increased, the proportion of rock memorial also went on increasing.
Yes.
And then memorial came, then Vivekananda Kendra came. So it's a big story.
It's a big story, yes. And Manale Eknathji Ranade is instrumental in starting such a wonderful monument, constructing, and the entire activity. Am I right?
Yeah, means the idea was of the local people here. Then slowly many persons got associated, even Sangha got associated, Swami Chinmayananda got associated.
Yes.
But when they were not getting permission from the government, at that time it was felt that we need a person in whose dictionary there is no word impossible. And that is why the committee members went to Shri Guruji, then Sarasanga Chalak of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha, and requested him to give this work to Eknathji, who was at that time Akhil Bharatiya Bauddhik Pramukh.
Okay.
So this responsibility was given to him. He came. Then he saw that this is a full-time job, so he got relieved from RSS responsibility.
Other activities.
And he led the effort, the nation's effort, to erect this memorial.
Memorial. Yes.
He
I
secured the
have.
permission.
Yes. Yes. All the
Everything
logistics
is
part.
everything is very exciting. Actually, the whole history of Vivekananda Rock Memorial is very exciting history.
Absolutely, absolutely. My connection with this monument is such that I'm Diksharthi of Ramakrishna Mission, so read quite a good collection of our spiritual collection from the mission. One, second, thrice I got an opportunity to visit the rock and experience the thrilling memories and connection with those. The episode that you just now narrated, how Swamiji got enlightened and got a torch bearer of our religion, and that needs to be done for my country. And when did you join this place, Didi?
I joined in 1977.
1970. Oh my God. Okay. And how old you were then?
I was 19 years old.
Okay. Now coming to this little exciting or little detail information. What was in your mind when you joined
Yes.
Vivekananda Kendra?
See, I means the atmosphere in my house is such
Mm-hmm.
that my father also, he was in many different good works for the society. He was Sangha Swayam Sevak also. He was Gnaneshwari Mandal member. He was Theosophical Society member. So, and he used to bring lot of good books in the house.
Yeah.
So that samskara was there, and somewhere in class 9 itself, I felt I should do something different.
Okay.
So it was at that time I happened to read about Sharda Mission. Then I decided that I will go to Sharda Mission and I will work there. Then when I was in class 11, I read about Vivekananda Kendra, and they work in interior tribal areas and all. So I had lot of, desire, intense desire to work in such areas. So I thought for me Vivekananda Kendra suits better. Then I went to my parents and told them that I want to go here. In those days it was 11th matriculation. So my father knew about it, and he said no one has to be minimum graduate to go there. Then I told all right. So after I completed my BSc final year, means when I wrote the last paper, I remember I came home and wrote a postcard to Kanyakumari saying, "You take me that I have passed BSc and tell me now how can I join Vivekananda Kendra."
Okay. That passionate desire to work in this area. Didi, monument is really splendid, and it took good amount of efforts to erect it. And I also know that it is inaugurated by Swamiji, then the president of Ramakrishna Mission, and entire year the program was going on, and all the who's who and dignitaries were visiting it, and it is a wonderful place. Once in a lifetime, everybody wants to visit it. Uh, how challenging it is to maintain the sanctity of the monument.
See, first thing is the memorial was the desire of the whole nation. That
Yes.
is to secure the permission for this memorial. Eknathji had to take in those days the signatures of 323 MPs. Perhaps this is the only non-war, non-MP benefit work in which all MPs have come together and signed.
Across
So
India.
across India, across all the regional parties, across all
Parties,
the
yes.
political parties,
Yes.
everything. Cutting
Okay.
across political colors, regional, religious colors.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
when the whole nation desired it, it could not be a small memorial.
Yes.
So Eknathji planned for a grand memorial, but in those days even collecting money was difficult. So
Now also it is difficult.
1 rupee campaign. So 1 rupee campaign was taken up. And that is
Acha.
how 82 lakhs of rupees was collected from the people with just 1 rupee, 2 rupee donation. And all state governments, again, cutting across all the political lines.
Yes.
All state governments gave 1 lakh rupees for that, even including
Yes.
Sheikh Abdullah's government of Jammu and Kashmir, or
Okay.
Hokeshi Sema's government of Nagaland.
Yes.
They all gave.
Yes.
Then, so when this memorial came up, actually it is, we can say, it is the manifestation of the Shraddha of people of India for Swami Vivekananda. And that is how, when actually Eknathji had got this responsibility from Guruji,
Yes.
first thing what Eknathji did was, he went to Belur Math. And at that time, Swami Madhavanandaji Maharaj was the president. So he went and told him. Then Madhavanandaji told him that this is the work for which you are born. So you have my blessings, you have Thakur's blessing, you go and do this work. So we can see that in this memorial, the 3 streams of penance coming and joining.
Yes.
In Kanyakumari also 3 seas meet. So same way, one is the traditional stream of penance, यानी tapaka pravaha ऐसा कह सकते हैं. Which that is Mother Kanyakumari, she did the penance for Shiva. So all our traditional practices which represent penance, that is one. The second is Ramakrishna Vivekananda thought movement. So the penance of that stream. And the third is Rashtriya Swayamsevak
Sangha. Yes.
So, 3 tapa pravaha milkar, means all these 3 streams mingled here, and that is how this memorial got erected. So it is, we can say, it is not really, in a way, the desired and designed by man, but it is really
a divine
the providence desire.
Yes.
And it was the divine destiny which has got manifested. So it is that which has got so deeply ingrained in us that the whole memorial, its sanctity is maintained. It needs lot of maintenance, because being near
in the middle of the sea,
that saline air, it corrodes the stone. So we had to continuously paint it with some silicone paint once in 3 years, which is a very costly paint. And we had to continuously, rub whatever salt gets accumulated in the stone. So that maintenance from the point of view of its protection.
Yes.
Then maintenance from the sense of cleanliness and all that. That is excellent also there. And third is also the atmosphere there. So all the things are maintained very well by all the karyakartas, all the employees who work there.
Yes.
And that is why whosoever visits there, they are full of praise for it.
Yes.
And they feel the vibrations also. There is that
true.
Dhyana Mandapam, when people sit there, as Eknathji said, that Swami Vivekananda discovered the mission of his life. That is, each one of us, our life has some purpose.
Yes.
So, Swami Vivekananda discovered his purpose of life. Similarly, whosoever visits here should meditate and make his life purposeful. So, for that, the Dhyana Mandapam was made. So, even today, people, when they meditate in Dhyana Mandapam, they get a lot of vibrations.
Yes,
so,
definitely.
Swamiji's and Devi Bhagavati Kanyakumari's grace continues there.
Absolutely. And let it continue, the blessings and the grace till the end of this world.
Yeah, it will.
Yes. So, now many people know, but through this medium, what are the activities that are conducted at Kanyakumari Center per se? We will talk about other centers next part, but at Kanyakumari, what are the activities?
Now, this is also very interesting. Means when Rock Memorial was being built, Eknathji was very clear that the memorial for Swami Vivekananda cannot be limited to a granite memorial, but it has to be really in the lives of young men and women
Yes.
who will work for the society.
Yes.
So he had envisaged this second phase of Vivekananda Kendra as a spiritually oriented service mission. So though it was functioning in some rented place and all, Eknathji started telling in those days when even money was not forthcoming, he said, no, we have to purchase a piece of land. So today's Vivekanandapuram campus at Kanyakumari, what we have, it is almost 100 acres and it is purchased from some 180 parties. 180
Many
parties.
owners.
So piece by piece, Eknathji got it because he envisaged this Kanyakumari, means the Vivekanandapuram campus, as the headquarter of the organization, All India organization that he would be starting. And so in the campus, the first thing, of course, which Eknathji did was, in those days, Kanyakumari was a very, very small town. Now, of course, there are so many hotels and lodges and all that. But in those days, nothing was there except some one dharmashala. So Eknathji constructed many temporary buildings, but Eknathji's temporary work also is going on even after 40, 50 years. So for the tourists who will come out from different parts of the country to visit memorial, so they must have a decent place to stay. And that is how the first thing was the service to the pilgrims who come here. Then a dispensary was started because they will need post office, they will need bank service, and they will need dispensary.
Medical help also,
medical service. So that also was started. Then as Vivekananda Kendra started, this being the headquarters of Vivekananda Kendra, so it is a training center for the life workers of Vivekananda Kendra and for all Karyakartas of Vivekananda Kendra, whether Sthanik Karyakartas, whether teachers. So continuously round the year, here training camps are going on, plus the training camps for the people who want to learn yoga, or yoga shiksha shibir, spiritual retreats. So the camp for general people also are conducted here. So that is one activity. Then later we also started a school here for the nearby rural children. So some nearby from 40 villages the children come here. So we started a school also for them. Then we started a rural development program. So like this, Vivekanandapuram is a hub of so many activities. At Kanyakumari.
Correct.
We have some 3 permanent exhibitions also. That is, one is on the life and message of Swami Vivekananda, titled as Arise Awake. Then another is on the life and work of Eknathji. We have titled this as Gangotri. Because, generally, that is here the Ganga is Ganga of service. Eknathji started to flow from south to north. And that is how this is the, so his, that exhibition is titled as Gangotri. Then we have one very beautiful exhibition on Ramayana Darshan, that is on Ramayana. And also a Gramoday Darshan Park, in which appropriate technologies for the rural enrichment are there. Right. So like these 4 permanent exhibitions are here.
Okay, wonderful. Also, now coming to the ideology and vision of the center and all the owners of these movements. So I would not name any single person. Many people wanted this to happen. We, as a society, need some guiding force to stick to our roots, to our sanctity, to our so-called religious values, and also one nation ideology. So what is that we are doing? As you told me already, that the training center for the Karyakartas who go across India in various parts and start this movement in those areas. So what is the inspirational thought or that motivates to people to convey this message around?
See, first thing is, this will be slightly a sideline, but still, because you have asked the question, I would like to clarify.
Please do.
We don't say it is ideology, because ideology is always exclusive. In ideology, we say only what I say is right, and what you are saying is right. So it is the philosophy or Jivan Darshan, as we say in Hindi or Sanskrit. So the philosophy of Vivekananda Kendra is naturally driving its inspiration from Swami Vivekananda's message.
Yes.
And that is that this nation, our country, that is India, has been in existence for thousands of years.
Yes.
It has faced so many invasions, so many atrocities, vicissitudes. And even then, if our nation has survived, it is because, as Swamiji said, she has not given her message to the world. And what is that message? That this whole world, is interconnected, interrelated, interdependent. And therefore, our happiness is dependent on the harmony in family, in society, in nation, and the whole environment. So we have to work, we have to contribute for enhancing, for enriching, and also for maintaining the harmony in all these collectives or samashti, as we say.
Yes.
Another thing is the human being is potentially divine, and the goal of life is to manifest that divinity in life by controlling, as Swami Vivekananda said, by controlling the nature external and internal. And he says, do this either by work or worship or by knowledge or psychic control by one or more and all, be free. So to put all this into just two words, as Swami Vivekananda had done, the objective for which Vivekananda Kendra works is man-making nation building. That is, the man, he becomes aware of his innate divinity and he strives by practicing self-restraint in life. He strives to manifest that divinity. And additionally, he means his physical existence, his mental, vital existence, as it is part of the collectives like environment, nation, society, family. So his life should be contributing to all this. So when he really starts contributing to family, society, nation, and the whole creation, then we can say the man is really living as a human life. If he is only living for himself, that we know even animals live for themselves. So there is no difference in man and animal. So this man-making and nation building, this man-making is for nation building because this nation has worked always in the interest of the humanity. So working for India, working for establishing India vibrantly in her national cause, it's also working for the humanity. Because as you know, in India, our prayer is always Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya. We don't say Sarve Bharatiyaha Bhavantu Sukhina.
No.
We don't even say Sarve Manavaha Bhavantu Sukhina. We say Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina.
Bhavantu Sukhina, yes.
Yes. So this nation always has worked for the well-being of all. And therefore, to make India, make our Bharat, vibrant, to practice its dharma, and also to help the whole humanity. So for that, Vivekananda Kendra is working. So its objective is man-making, nation building.
And not
based on the philosophy, we can say the philosophy of oneness of India.
Of India,
or Advaita Vedanta, as we say.
Entire mankind is one. That is the ideology. That is the philosophy, as you say, not ideology. So, Tai, now there is a fashion which has started very few years back. It's a very trendy fashion, I would say, that our youth take pride in arguing on everything that is told to them. questioning everything that is, I will not say preach, but presented to them. And in that process, they feel that they are not getting the freedom that they are looking for, or they deserve rather. How do you want them to know that our Sanskriti, our heritage, and our culture is for the betterment of your life and not to trap you or to tie you to something that will not work good for you? How do you want to say that?
Actually, I feel somewhere it is the failure of the earlier generation
Mm-hmm.
to take the message of our dharma, our culture properly to the youth. Actually speaking, the present younger generation
Yeah.
is more honest, more forthright, and
Yeah.
if really they are convinced about something, they stand for it also.
Yeah.
But it is our failure to bring them up in that way, our failure to expose them to what really India stands for. But whenever and wherever it is done, actually their response is very constructive, very positive. So, so the gist is we have to work more.
Yeah,
we
and
have
not
to
blame
reach
them.
out. We have to reach out to the youth. Yes, we should not blame them. Actually,
Yes,
they are much better. Means they
better.
respond very well. And as Swami Vivekananda said, even I also feel, as Swamiji said, my faith is in the younger generation, the young generation. From them will come the heroes who will work out the solutions to the problems. Really, it
Yes.
will happen. And we see also many such young people are coming up.
I remember, I mean, rather, when I read the scriptures or the letters of Swamiji, the very famous sentence he has said is, "You give me 100 youth, and I will show you the best possible way India can be presented, or
Yes.
the message is conveyed." So, what are those 100 people qualities we want to see in those 100 youth? What are those qualities we want to say?
See, first and foremost, they must have, I will say, some 3-4 points. One is the Atma Jnana. Atma Jnana means I am not going spiritually
No, no,
self-realization and all. I am not
no, no,
saying that. Atma
no.
Jnana means I am part of this nation, what this nation stands for. What are its achievements? What are its contributions? What are even today its inherent strength? So
Yes.
that Atma Jnanam they should have. If that is not there, if you don't know your mother, how can you love her? How can you stand for her? So one is Atma Jnanam. Then the second is we have to develop their willpower. And that developing of the willpower, Ichha Shakti,
Yes.
there the family has to play a very great role. So family must have certain norms, certain, insistence that no
Yes.
thing should be done like that.
Like that.
Uh, means whatever it is, just live
Yeah.
as you want, get up whenever you
Ha.
want, sleep whenever you want, and parents, are afraid to tell anything to the
Yeah.
child. So
Yeah.
this is not a very nice sign to bring up the children.
True.
It's only when your body and mind are properly employed in action, then only the inner power is freed. So that employing body, mind in action, for that the training has to be given in the families, in the
Families.
educational
Yes.
institutions.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is the second thing. The third thing is action. That is, we can say Kriya Shakti also. Means in short, because Navratri is going on, so in short, it is Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, and Kriya Shakti.
Kriya
So
Shakti.
third
Yes.
is Kriya Shakti. That is, we have to give exposure to our children to the good works that are going on in our society. The parent should be actually working in the society, in organizations which work for the nation, without expecting anything. Means of our 2 hours, 3 hours in a week, or maybe
Yes.
half a day in a
Yes.
week, they should give
Yes.
for the nation. If
Yes.
parents are doing that, the children also learn from that. And
Automatically
that
will
is
pick
how,
up that.
they will pick up that. Then when they
Yes.
are growing up, we should also take them to visit some such places where good work is being done. We have to also make them do something. Unless you
Yeah.
do, you don't taste the joy of working for others. Unless you are made to work. So their Kriya Shakti also needs to be awakened. So
Right.
those 100 youth are such youth who have that Jnana Shakti, that is, they know what India is, what India
Yes.
stands for, and what I am born for. They know that.
Right.
Then
Right.
second is they have very strong willpower. Whatever they decide, they do. And third is they are not persons of words, but they are persons of actions.
Action. Yes. Yeah. I think that's
And
very
then as
important.
Swamiji said, we can further expand it. That is, as Swamiji said, purity, patience, and perseverance. So they have to
Yes.
know how to
Yes.
persevere in any good work.
Yeah.
Patience,
Yes.
purity. That is, your
Yes.
motives have to
Yes.
be pure. And they will work wonders.
True. Very true. Also, uh, last week I had another wonderful speaker. I don't need to introduce that to you. You know her, Mananiya Alkatai
Divya Pranam.
Inamdar.
Oh, Chalka.
No, Alkatai Inamdar. And we talked about a topic wherein the same lines what you are saying. Family bonding is a backbone of the society. Uh, as we are talking, families are the one who need to inherit these values in their next generation in a proper manner, and exposure to this kind of good works, treasure of my nation and my culture. So they know that there is something really cherishing within me and in my nation as well, and I should work for it. So what point we came across is coming to women section, which is more than 50% of population of our nation also. Earlier, again, the generation back, mothers were playing a full-time role of a mother. Even if for some reason she had to be earning person to support the family financial requirements, but her primary focus or her priority would be always the family, which is not the case now. Now, career has taken a preceding space where it has become more important, and a family somewhere has taken a little backseat, and that is something is causing a lot of disturbance in the harmony of the family, and which leads to children not able to handle failures, challenges, and takes, I'm not saying all, but most of them take some different path or extreme steps also. What kind of a comment you have on this statement of mine?
See, first thing is, somewhere when we start stereotyping, that is where this problem comes. Stereotyping is that a woman, if she is educated and not working, means her education is waste. So a woman should be working. If she is not working, means what is her use? So we are stereotyping that only
Yes.
working woman is the real, contributory woman. So that is where we have gone wrong, because in our country, we have not looked down upon women principally. Then because of certain historical reasons in a middle period, a woman was confined to the home. So she lost education. Because she lost education, she lost national perspective, social perspective.
Yes.
And so she got confined.
Yes.
Now she is getting education, but
Yeah.
education is for what? For any, whether it is man or woman. That is forgotten. That is, as I told initially, that each one of us, we have to contribute for the family, society, nation, and the whole creation. Now, when I say contribute, in that there is one very important thing is that each one, whether man or woman, each one must have freedom of choosing the path of contribution. So, as a housewife, someone says, I will bring up my children so well, so they will be the best gift to the society. Nothing wrong in it.
Yes.
Someone will say, no, I want to have career and bring up the children. Nothing wrong in it. Someone
Yes.
like me who says that, no, I want to be life worker of Vivekananda Kendra. So I don't want marriage. I don't want career. I will work, and whatever work is given in the organization, I shall do. And that way I will contribute to the society. So I must have that freedom. So
Yep.
it is the freedom of choice to contribute to the society.
Yes.
And that freedom we have to understand. If we don't understand that and we start stereotyping, then that is what it happens. There are many women who may not like job, but then they are told, what is the use of your education? Education is very much needed to bring up the family. Education is very much needed to take care of the children. Education is very much needed to employ my free time fruitfully in the service of the society. Education doesn't mean that I need to earn something as a job. So that stereotyping has to stop.
Super. Very convincing explanation. Not only encashing in terms of money, it can be many ways you can make use of your education. Ultimate goal of any man or woman is to be a useful human being and not a self-centered or selfish creature. We will not call any other name, but once again, God's creation. We always hear, I think this should be my last question, but in case, in your answer, if I find something, I'll ask, but as of now, it is last question. Strong mind makes a strong society. That is the very conveniently passed statement on every platform. But now that we saw very well during this pandemic also, mostly Bharatiya people are the one who could survive successfully because of all sorts of values and other engagements that we have as a society. So that strong mind definition is something I want you to tell.
I'll tell you, it's strong. The strength of mind is not in the context of individual mind. It is the collective mind. That is, we are all so well connected with each other because of that sense of, I will say, spirituality or oneness or whatever it is. That is why we can survive the calamities. For example, I will tell you when demonetization took place. I was demonetization time. I was traveling. Then in one house there was marriage. So I asked them that what did you do? Because suddenly the cash in the hand is over. You can't use the notes of 1,500 rupees notes. Then she said that, see, when we went to the vegetable seller or even different persons,
Vendors.
they said, we know you, and we know at present you cannot pay us, but we will give you the material. And when the situation normalizes, you pay us. So this is the relationship which helps us to survive. So whether it is COVID-19, whether it is demonetization, whether it is the floods which come in Mumbai or anywhere, people open their homes. They cook khichdi for all those who are stranded. So that is where, because it's a collective mind, samana mantra, samiti samani, samana rudayani vaha. So the strength comes because I know, in society, people are there who care for me. I was traveling in a taxi during demonetization time only. So I asked the taxi driver that, what did you do? Then he said, see, 2-3 days I was flying the taxi. Then what happened? One mother and daughter got in. They wanted to go to hospital. And I took them to hospital. Then they took out 500 rupees note, and they said they said that we don't have change. And I told, I don't want your 500. So I didn't take anything. I told, you didn't take. He said, no, what to do? They had to go to hospital. How can I fight with them? No, I just took them. So like that, I did some free trips. Then I thought that, okay, I will also rest for 3-4 days, and then I will start again. So even to unknown people also we are helpful.
Yes.
You know, the strength comes from these feelings of oneness. The strength comes from the bonds, whether it is a family which is based on oneness or the society which is based on oneness. The strength comes from that. Am I audible? The network. Hello. Am I audible? I think network has gone. Oh, acha. Okay. Okay. I thought because I'm not seeing KK, that's why.
Yeah, maybe Akka got disconnected.
Okay. She got disconnected. I thought whether I got.
Yeah. Maybe she'll join in few seconds.
Okay.
She'll join in 2 seconds.
So that is what I was telling. This strength, you know, the inherent strength of this society is in that sense of oneness, that sense of atmiyata, in sense of looking beyond, you know, the artha and kama. There is the third factor, dharma. And because of that dharma only, the society is taken care. And therefore, even our strength is more. You know, in COVID, if you are sick, it is not that nobody looks at you. Actually, in society, there are many people who came forward, who helped. So, for example, one of our Karyakartas who is in Arunachal Pradesh, you know, he is from Bihar, posted in Arunachal Pradesh, as Kendra has centers all over the country. In more than some 1,000 places, Kendra is working. So this Karyakarta who got COVID-19, you know, our Sthani Arunachali people told, don't go to the hospital, we will take care of you. We will bring the right food for you, you just rest inside. And he is resting and getting all right.
Getting all right.
See, they are bringing food, they are giving in very interior area.
Yes.
Means for other Karyakartas to reach out to him was difficult, but our people there, who are our Sthanik Karyakartas, all Arunachali, they took such great care. So this is what all over the country, this is the picture.
Yes.
Means some exceptions will be there, but exceptions only proves the rule.
True. Very true. Very true. Very valid statement. Exception only proves the rule. So lastly, how many centers across India and how many Karyakartas are involved in this work type?
See, about Karyakartas, we had two types of Karyakartas. That is those who are Purnakali. In Purnakali, those who have joined as life worker, that is for life, or as Seva Vritti, that is to give few years of their life, or Vanaprasthi who have come after retirement. So this is all Karyakartas. So they give their time and their needs are taken care of. There is no pay or anything like that. And then there are Sthanik Karyakartas who stay in their own home, they have their own jobs, but they give specific time to Vivekananda Kendra Karya, and that is how our many centers are run because of these Sthanik Karyakartas. So Kendra has got work, we can say two types of work, that is the branch centers of Vivekananda Kendra and service projects of Vivekananda Kendra. So in service projects, we are running schools in Assam, Arunachal, Andaman, Nicobar Islands. And we have, you know, rural development program in various states, natural resources development project, publications, like that many service projects are there, cultural research and all that. And in branch centers, we have again a regular Karya and the occasional Karya. So regular is like conducting Yoga Varga or Samskar Varga or Sadhya Varga, Kendra Varga, that is regular. And the occasional is conducting Yoga Satras for 10 days or maybe personality development camp for children or youth motivation camp and all like that. So if we take the places where we have branch center work and also the place we have some service project or other, then it is from 1,200 places we are having work at present.
Percent. Okay, okay. Now this leads to another question. We all sitting in this call are motivated, I'm sure. And most of us are Karyakartas of Rashtriya Sevika Samiti. So if we want to start a service center, a Vivekananda Service Center, let's say in my house itself. So is there some sort of provision available, something like this? Can we?
Yeah, very well.
Okay.
Very well. First thing is you have to start coming weekly together and come together, then study some Swamiji's literature and like that. So first we had to create a team, by through games, through songs, through Pradhyay, through yoga, asana and pranayam and meditation also is important part of that.
Yes.
We
Yes.
call
Yes.
all that as Kendra Varga. And then we start taking up certain either service activity or this sanskar activity through which we conduct sanskar varga or swadhyaya varga. So we can do that.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's wonderful. And it is not like you need to have a separate batch of men and women. Everybody can be together studying the Swamiji's work. Yes.
In
Yes.
Indra, that is what Srinathji did in those days. That was the first, we can say, Vivekananda Kendra was the first such organization where men and women could come as full-time Karyakartas and work together. And in our branch centers also, they work together. So naturally that, we have to maintain those norms and all that. But both together, both work together.
Together. Yes. Yes. And ultimately, if the goal is, as you said, clearly known to you, you will definitely make a good progress, and self-motivational work is what you look for. Tai, I think I don't have any more questions. So let me say dhanyavad to you. But we will open for question answer. So audience will ask you questions, maybe a couple of questions, and then we will conclude it.